Hi, I'm Kyle Rappenchuk with Ozarks BSU and Lead You Discipleship. And welcome to our series on Who Am I? As we explore questions of theological anthropology. That is, what does it mean to be human? And what does it mean to be human specifically from the aspect of a recognition of the Christian worldview? See, whether it's coronavirus, racial issues, or any myriad of other social issues of our day, I think there's a single thread at the heart of it all. People want to flourish. We want to live meaningful lives. But in order to flourish as God intended us to flourish, we can't settle for simplistic answers. Contrary to the Gnostic tendency of many evangelical churches today, we are not simply souls that are trapped in bodies, looking for the day that we can escape it and go up to heaven. We are actually wholes, body and soul, that have been united into the one person that makes me distinctly me, what God intended for me to be. We are integrated human beings, and we are designed to be in harmony in a variety of directions. And to be out of harmony in any one of these directions is to be out of harmony with all of the others. For instance, if my relationship with God suffers, my relationship with my neighbor will suffer also. I think there are few that really deny that claim. We recognize that to be true. If my relationship with others suffers, however, my relationship with God will suffer. And I think even though we intellectually know this is true, many Christians don't actually practice this. We're out of harmony with our neighbors and we wonder why our relationship with God is suffering. That's why Paul in 1 Corinthians talks about the need to go in the Lord's Supper and to reconcile with our brothers and sisters in Christ before we take of the supper. Because to be out of relationship with others is to be out of relationship with God. I think few Christians, however, take seriously the fact that the Bible also teaches us to be right relationship with ourselves. And if we're not in right relationship with ourselves, that will affect everything else as well. And finally, we're called to be in right relationship with the creation that God has placed us in. To be out of harmony in any one of these relationships, as I mentioned, is to be out of harmony with the others. The question that I think this raises: what if we really are our own worst enemy? What if our struggles with God and others and with ourself, all of the fractions in relationships, all of the struggles that we face, what if so much of our desire for flourishing but our lack of experiencing it comes about simply because we haven't thought about who God created us to be? And that's really at the heart of this series. To answer the question from a biblical perspective, who am I? In order for us to explore our identity, I think it's important for us to go deeper than the simplistic answers that we typically give. And so in the course of this study, we're going to look at 6 different ways that the Bible identifies us as humans and speaks to how we can come to understand more deeply and more meaningfully our own identity. We're going to look first at the question of who am I? This question of anthropology. How has God made me to be? It's the question of identity. But the question of identity more broadly, I think, only gets answered fully when we look beyond that first question. All right, beyond the question of who am I? A second question to this is, what am I here for? What am I here for? The question of purpose. We also then want to ask the question of where am I going? It's the question of telos, of where we're headed, this directional aspect. Telos being not end in terms of cessation, but as a purpose moving towards a goal. We're also going to look at the question of how has God gifted me? This is the question of giftings. And this is where we take something a little bit more broad of what all of humanity does and narrow the focus to me more specifically. The fifth question is, what am I here for? Notice very similar to what am I here for, just a different emphasis on a different word here. What am I here in this specific location, in this specific vocation for? And that's the question of vocation. And finally, the sixth question, what should I be doing? And it's the question of practice. And I think once we dig deeper into all 6 of these questions, can we get a more full understanding of what the Bible has taught us about our identity. And I think that our identity is one of the most crucial questions for us to answer. And so I'm really excited that you're choosing to join us in this series, and I hope that you will follow us throughout the rest of this series, and that you will see just a huge benefit from reflecting on these big questions of identity. So until next time, thanks for joining us.